What are you going to be praying for this Yom Kippur? The unusual thing about prayer is that the experience never turns out to be what you thought it would be at the beginning. Not only do we not get all of the things that we request, but even as we pray, or as we're done praying, we start to think to ourselves that we should have asked for something else. When I was younger, I used to pray for things like the Jets winning the Super Bowl. And I've given up on that, not just because it might be futile to pray for the Jets winning the Super Bowl, but even more importantly, it's not a priority. No one comes to synagogue on Yom Kippur and says, God, please give me good parking spots in the year to come. And prayer itself is an act of self-evaluation. Rabbi Samson Raphael Hirsch points out that the root word for prayer is the same word as judgment. And when we stand before God and we ask God for things that we consider to be important, we automatically start to edit the list. And we automatically reflect on the fact that what we're asking for maybe isn't that important. And that's really a critical lesson. We should be praying for something that's valuable. Mark Michael Epstein, in his book, Skies of Parchment, Seas of Ink, which is a guide to Jewish illuminated manuscripts, tells a story about when he was a young graduate student working in the Judaica department at Sotheby's. And a constant irritation for people who work in Judaica departments is a visitor that comes bringing what the visitor considers to be a valuable old book, when in reality, it has no value at all. And so it's a late Monday afternoon, and Epstein is a little grumpy, and then he's called to the front desk. There's a man here with an old Jewish book for you to evaluate. And so he brings in the man, and Epstein's already irritated. It's a short Jewish man who has an old paper bag, and inside, wrapped in very old newspaper, is a book. And the man unwraps the book, and it's a Sefer Tehillim, it's a book of Psalms that was printed in Warsaw in 1920. It has no monetary value whatsoever. And Epstein is about to just sort of push him out the door and arrogantly tell him, there's no value to your book, when he decides to ask the man, how much did you pay for the book? And the man pulls himself up. He's about 5'2" at full height, and he looks Epstein in the eye and he says, for this, I paid 7 days Auschwitz bread. The man had been seen with this Tehillim, with this book in Auschwitz by a guard, and the guard penalized him and took away his rations for 7 days when the man was starving. But he held on to this Tehillim because it was too precious to him. And Epstein is all of a sudden flustered when the man gives that response. And so he looks at the man and he says, this book is too valuable for us to sell. And that's the lesson. The lesson is the word valuable, the word precious. We use it very often in monetary terms. But in reality, there are things that are much more valuable than the things we desire, the things that we covet. And when we stand before God on Yom Kippur, we're going to be asking for many things. And I'm going to be praying for everything that I want. But if we can remember to do one thing, pray for something valuable, something of true value. Gemar Chatima Tova.